Again, we are still on self-defense. Very important that we clearly understand what is meant by unlawful aggression. Okay? As I have mentioned on the previous video, kailangan yung unlawful aggression must be actual or imminent. Okay? It's sudden, it can be unexpected attack, but it has to be imminent danger. Hindi lang basta lang intimidating attitude or insulting words or threats, simple threats, or a creation of the mind or imaginary. Hindi po pwede yun to validly invoke self-defense, no? Kasi at those circumstances or at those events, wala pong valid unlawful aggression, right? Remember that although I did mention this also previously, no, that unlawful aggression is a primordial requisite. Ibig sabihin, um, kailangan po na nandoon siya, no, in the defense of self, defense of a stranger, defense of a family or relative. Importante po yun na nandoon, no? Kung walang unlawful aggression, then yung next two elements of a valid self-defense is of no basis. Okay? Hindi po pwede na wala yung unlawful aggression for any person to invoke self-defense or defense of a stranger, defense of a family or relative. Kaya po primordial, no? Yan yung pinaka-importante na element of a valid self-defense. It is indispensable, no? Requisite or what we call in legal parlance as condition sine qua non. Remember also that it must result from an actual physical assault or actual use of weapon. Okay. Again, as I mentioned previously, there must be a threat into one's life, limb, or right. Okay. Kaya pag walang peril on one's life, limb, or right, then there is no aggression. Okay. Insulting words, hindi po magka-qualify as unlawful aggression unless there is physical assault. Okay? But here is an interesting fact. A slap of the face, a slap on the face, sampal, no, can qualify as an unlawful aggression because the face represents a person and his dignity. Okay, so if you slap a person, then that can be taken as a serious personal attack as it places the person's real, as it places the person in real danger of his or her dignity, rights, and even safety. That is according to the case of the people of the Philippines versus Sabio. And another interesting fact is, pagka yung public officer ay nag-exceed sa kanyang authority, then he can qualify as an unlawful aggressor. Okay? So here is one particular case when a sheriff carrying out a writ of execution exceeded his authority by taking it against the will of the judgment debtor personal property, which happen to have a sentimental value. So therefore, the judgment debtor have the right to repel the unlawful aggressor in the person of the sheriff going outside his authority to execute the writ of execution. Take note also that There is no unlawful aggression when there is an agreement to fight. Okay, gusto nilang mag-away, ayan, hindi po pwede nga yun, no? Um, One who voluntarily joined the fight cannot claim self-defense. Gustong makipag-away, naghahanap ng away, ayan, hindi po pwede din yan, no? The person defending himself must stop for when the aggressor or when the aggression ceased, and if he still continued to attack, then he becomes the aggressor. Kaya kailangan continuing yung event. Hindi pwedeng merong intervening cause, no? May gap in between. So hindi na yun valid as a self-defense. In understanding self-defense or defense of a relative or family or defense of a stranger, importante rin yung reasonable necessity. Okay? Dalawang phase yan, no? That it should be reasonably necessary to prevent or to repel. Okay? Dalawang bagay. Either to prevent or to repel. Because the law protects not only the person who repels the actual danger, but even the person who tries to prevent an aggression that is imminent or expected or about to happen, yung mangyayari. So there must be necessity of the course of action taken by the person making the defense or the means used. In People versus Gutwal, no, it does not imply commensurability between the means of the attack and the defense. Okay? What the law requires is a rational equivalence, which is determined by the emergency, that the imminent danger to which the person attacked is exposed. Okay? And the instinct, more than the reason that moves or impels the defense. Okay? Hindi naman kailangan commensurate, no? Kumbaga suntok sa suntok. Not necessarily. What is required is a rational equivalence. Okay? The proportionateness thereof does not depend upon the harm done, but rests upon the imminent danger of such injury. Kasi kung halimbawa ay the threat, the imminent danger that is posed upon the person defending himself requires, a bolo, the use of a weapon to defend himself, then he can still validly claim self-defense. No? Pero kung halimbawa, physical, halimbawa, suntok lang, right? Tama ba na barilin niya? Okay. That is debatable. Okay, because it may not be reasonably proportionate or not rational equivalent. Self-preservation instinct usually kicks in, no? Pagka usaping reasonable necessity. The necessary measures to protect yourself, self-preservation, yan yung kailangan nating tandaan. No? So what you used may be disproportionately unfair, but it can still be valid when you consider the other circumstances. No? Limbawa, sa hating gabi ginawa. Okay? So, takot ka because you are isolated in an abandoned area or abandoned place, no? Middle of the night, o kaya mas malaki yung opponent mo, no? So in your perspective, the mere punching will not be sufficient, so you needed a weapon, no? To defend yourself. So yun yung mga bagay na kailangan ding i-consider. Okay? So an example would be a guy defending himself using a shotgun, no? When the aggressor only used a knife. Okay? But then again, the burden of proof rests upon the one asserting a valid self-defense. Okay? So must prove that it was the only weapon he had. Exemption. It does not include running after the attack after you warded him off. No. Unless, yun nga, you're a peacekeeping officer or a police. So, iba yun kasi in the pursuit, no? But if you're an ordinary civilian, then kung naghabulan na kayo, so you have some time, no, to think. There is an intervening cause. Okay? Hindi na continuing yung danger kasi ikaw na yung humahabol, ibang usapan na yun. Hindi na yun valid self-defense. Okay? Halimbawa, sinuntok ka niya, then tumakbo at ikaw hinahabol mo, you cannot claim valid self-defense because hindi na present yung unlawful aggression, but you had the time to contemplate. Okay? So the means reasonable necessity of means, or the reasonable necessity as a means, okay, refers to actual and imminent aggression still present or still standing. Okay, but the provocation may be modified. Let's skip that one. All right. It's basically the same, no? As I've mentioned earlier, maraming mga ibang factors na kailangan din natin consider, yung nature and quality of the weapon, physical condition, character, size, and other circumstances, the place and occasion of the assault. Okay. Here's an interesting fact, no? In defense of chastity, there must be imminent or immediate danger of rape to justify killing. Okay? Baka naman kasi acts of lasciviousness now, right? So that can play a critical factor in asserting a valid self-defense, right? Slander may be a necessary means to repel another slander, okay? But it must not be more than needed to defend oneself from defamatory remarks. Okay, so on reasonable necessity, the killing of the unlawful aggressor may still be justified as long as the mortal wounds are inflicted at the time when the elements of complete self are still present. Now again, walang intervening cause or intervening gap. Let's move on to lack of sufficient provocation. Meron din yung mga elements, no? Remember that in order for us to invoke lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself, okay, there shall not be no provocation at all that was given by the aggressor or the person defending himself. Okay. Even if a provocation was given, it was not sufficient. Okay. Provocation must be sufficient. No, it must be proportionate to the act of aggression and adequate to steer the aggressor to its commission. Okay. On the part of the person defending himself, kung meron mang provocation, it must not be sufficient on the part of the other person, no? Kaya, or the injured party. Okay. The injured, kasi please don't confuse yourself, no? Kasi minsan sinasabi nating aggressor or the injured party or yung isa the person defending himself, no? Kasi the person, kumbaga nasuswitch yung circumstance kasi. So originally there is an aggressor, okay? Person A is the aggressor, but because of his acts, no, acts ni person A, okay, being the one, the aggressor, okay, person B now defends himself killing or injuring person A. Kaya pwede ring tawagin na injured person or injured party si person A because of the valid act of person.